The last breath she lay on the cold floor of the ship. Her hands were weak, her body shaking. The air was thin now, hard to breathe. Every breath felt like fire in her lungs. The battle had ended hours ago, or maybe minutes, she could not tell. Time had lost all meaning. The lights above her flickered, showing broken wires and smoke. She could smell burnt metal and something sharper, blood. Her own blood. She pressed her side and felt the warm liquid on her fingers. It was spreading. Her mind whispered, "This is the end outside." The silence of space surrounded her. No engines. No voices, no alarms. Even the hum of the power core was gone. Only the faint creak of the hull remained. Her ship, once fast and proud, was now just floating wreckage. Her people had told stories about death in space. How it came quickly, without pain. How you closed your eyes and never opened them again. But this was not quick. This was slow, cruel. The cold was creeping in, taking her arms, her legs, soon. It would take her heart. She thought about her last fight. The enemy ships, black shapes with sharp wings, had come out of nowhere. Their weapons had burned through shields like paper. Her crew had screamed over the coms one by one. The voices had gone silent. She had been the last one to answer the captain's call. And then, nothing. She had prepared for this moment. Every soldier did. She had accepted long ago that one day she might not come back from a mission, but she had always imagined it would be fast. A flash of light and gone. Not this slow fading. She turned. Her head slightly, feeling pain shoot down her neck. Through the cracked window she saw the endless black. The stars looked like cold eyes watching her, unblinking, uncaring. Her breathing grew slower. Her heartbeat was a dull echo in her ears. She thought of home, of the green rivers and the sky that glowed with 3 moons. She would never see it again. The thought did not make her cry. She had no tears left. A small red light blinked near. The control panel, the emergency beacon. She had activated it before collapsing. But in the vast emptiness of space, a signal could travel for years before anyone found it. No one would come in time. Her fingers slipped from her side. She let her hands rest on the floor. It felt easier not to move. The cold was almost gentle. Now, like a blanket, she closed her eyes for what she thought would be the last time. But something happened. A sound, faint, almost imagined. Not from the ship, from outside. A low vibration that grew stronger. It was not possible, she thought. No ship should be here. Not this deep and empty space. She forced her eyes open again. The flickering lights made shadows dance on the walls. Her ears caught another sound, a metallic thud, then a hiss, the sound of air being moved. Her mind was too tired to understand. Was this death? Was this the sound of her soul leaving her body? Footsteps, slow, steady, coming closer. She tried to lift her head, but her neck refused. She could only see the dark shape of someone, or something, entering the room. Not her people. Not the enemy she had fought. This was different, tall, broad shoulders, moving with strange confidence. The figure knelt beside her. She saw a face, pale skin. 2 eyes locked on her, a human. She had heard of them before, strange. Unpredictable creatures from a small blue world. Her people called them dangerous, and yet, this one reached for her. Strong arms lifted her gently from the floor. Warmth spread through her cold body. Her mind whispered again, "This is not real." Humans did not come to save strangers, especially not enemies, and yet the last thing she felt before darkness took her again was not fear, it was safety. The human room when she woke again. There was no cold, no smoke, no broken metal. Her body did not feel weightless like in space. She was lying on something soft, a strange, gentle warmth pressed against her skin. She opened her eyes slowly, afraid it was another trick of the mind. The ceiling above her was smooth and pale. It had no cracks, no burn marks, no dripping wires. Soft light came from one corner, not harsh like ship lights. It was warm, almost golden. Her breathing felt easier here. There was air, clean air. She could smell something faint, like flowers. No blood, no fire. She turned her head. The pillow beneath her sank under the movement. This was not a medical bed like on her ship. It was something else, softer, stranger, around her. The walls were covered in shelves. She saw books, real paper. Her people used only digital data now. But here, words were carved into pages, stacked neatly in rows she had never seen. So many in one place. On a small table near her bed, there was a cup. Steam curled up from it in lazy swirls. The smell was sharp but pleasant. Her eyes followed the trail of steam until she noticed something else. A folded piece of cloth. It looked clean and soft, like it was made for comfort, not war. She sat up slowly. Her body protested, pain flashing in her side. Bandages. She had been bandaged. She did not remember anyone touching her. Yet here she was, wrapped and cleaned. Like she had been in a healer's care. Then she noticed a sound. It was not the hum of an engine or the buzz of power lines. It was a low, rhythmic tone, like the purr of some distant animal. She listened carefully. It came from behind the wall. She could feel it through the bed. It was steady, almost alive. Her eyes searched for a door. There was one, smooth, sliding sideways into the wall. Before she could try to move closer, it opened. A tall figure stepped in. She froze. It was the human, the same one she had seen in the wreck of her ship. His dark hair was messy, as if he had not slept in days. His eyes met hers. Calm, steady, but watchful. There was something strange in those eyes, not cold, not warm, but measuring. He held a tray in his hands. A bowl of thick, steaming liquid sat on it. He placed it on the small table beside her bed without speaking. The smell filled the air, rich, unfamiliar. Her stomach tightened, reminding her she had not eaten since before the battle. "You're awake," he said finally. His voice was deeper than she expected, calm, but not friendly. It carried the weight of someone used to command. "Eat," he added, nodding at the bowl. She did not move. Her mind was still trying to understand. Why was she here? Why had he saved her? Humans were not known for rescuing enemy soldiers. She looked at him closely. His clothes were simple, a dark shirt, worn trousers, not a uniform, not a soldier's armor. Yet there was something about the way he moved that told her he knew danger, knew how to survive it. He pulled a chair closer to the bed and sat down. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the faint hum from somewhere deep in the walls. It was almost like the ship was alive. Finally, he leaned forward slightly. "You were drifting," he said. "No signal, no power, life support failing." His eyes didn't leave hers. "You should be dead." She flinched at the blunt words. He was right. She should be dead. And yet she was here, breathing, eating warm air, staring into the eyes of a human. "You're safe for now," he continued, "but you need to rest." Something in his voice made her wonder if, for now, was meant to comfort her or warn her safe, but for how long? And from what? She glanced at the cup on the table again. Steam still rose from it. She reached for it, slowly. The heat spread through her cold fingers. She took a sip. It was bitter. Strange, but it felt alive in her mouth. Her body reacted before her mind did, wanting more when she set the cup down. The human was still watching her, not with fear, not with kindness, with something else. Something she could not yet name, and in that moment, she realized she was not a guest here. She was not a prisoner either. She was something in between, and whatever that meant, it was only the beginning. The human stranger, the human sat across from her. He did not speak much. Only his eyes moved, watching, measuring. It felt less like a meeting and more like a test. She could not tell if she was passing or failing. Her people had spoken of humans. In whispers, stories passed from one soldier to another. Some said they were clever beyond reason. Others claimed they were reckless and wild. But all agreed on one thing. Humans were dangerous because they could do the unexpected. Now one sat in front of her, and she did not know which kind he was. "What's your name?" he asked suddenly. His voice was calm, but there was no warmth in it. She hesitated. Names had power on her world. You did not give it freely. Still, she answered. Her voice low. He nodded, as if her name confirmed something. You were in a war, he said. It was not a question. She stayed silent. Your ship wasn't attacked by us, he added. Again, not a question. It made her uneasy. If not the humans, then who? The human leaned back in his chair. The light caught the edges of a thin scar across his jaw. It was old, but deep, a fighter's mark. This place is safe, he said. Safer than where you came from. But she noticed his eyes flick too. The door when he said it, like he was checking if someone else had heard. She wanted to ask why he had saved her. Why risk his life for a stranger? Worse, an enemy? Before she could speak, he slid the bowl of food closer to her. Eat more, he said. You'll need your strength. The words felt less like advice and more like a warning. Her gaze wandered around the room again. She noticed small details. Now, a row of strange devices on a shelf, some glowing faintly. A black jacket hanging by the door, heavy with hidden pockets, and a weapon, not on the table, not in his hand, but close enough for him to grab in an instant. The hum in the walls grew louder for a moment. She felt it under her skin. It was not the hum of any ship she knew. It was older, deeper. The sound of something alive. The human noticed her listening. You'll get used to it, he said. But his tone told her he didn't believe that, then. Without warning, he asked, what do you remember before waking here? The question caught her off guard. She told him about the battle, the darkness. The moment she thought death had come, she left out the part about the last thing she saw, his face in the wreckage. He listened without interrupting. When she finished, he leaned forward, elbows on his knees. And nothing else? She frowned. No, she said slowly. He studied her a moment longer, then sat back. You'll remember more, he said quietly, and something in the way he said it made her blood run cold. The door behind him slid open, a faint mechanical chime followed. He stood quickly, blocking her view. Someone or something was there, speaking in a low voice she couldn't make out. The human replied just as quietly. Then he shut the door and turned back to her. His expression was the same, but his eyes were sharper now. Rest, he said. He was already walking away when he added, we'll talk again when it's safe. Safe from what? She wanted to ask, but the words never left her mouth. The door closed behind him. The hum in the wall seemed louder now, and for the first time since waking, she wondered if she had been saved or captured. The hidden truth, the next time he came, he did not bring food. He stood in the doorway for a moment, watching her as if making sure she was still there. Then he stepped inside and closed the door behind him. This time, he locked it. The sound of the lock echoed in her mind. It was small, but sharp, like the click of a weapon being armed. You've been here 2 days, he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were different now, sharper, more focused. You're healing faster than I expected. She didn't answer. Something told her to listen more than speak. He moved to the shelf and picked up a small device. It looked harmless, a flat metal square with glowing lines, but when he pressed it, the hum in the walls stopped. The silence that followed was heavy, too heavy. It made her skin crawl. They can't hear us now, he said. She didn't ask who they were. Not yet. He sat down in the chair again. I found you drifting near the border, he began. No power, no signal. Her mind replayed the words. She had heard them before, but now they sounded like the beginning of something worse. Your ship wasn't attacked by us, he continued. It wasn't even a human patrol. He leaned forward slightly. It was something else. Her stomach tightened, the way he said something. Not someone. It felt wrong. What do you mean? She asked. He studied her before answering. Tell me, he said, before the power failed. Did you see anything? She hesitated. She had seen flashes, shapes in the dark, not ships, not meteors, something that moved like it was alive. But she didn't want to say it. Not yet. He sighed when she stayed silent. You're not the only one they took, he said. That made her look up fast. "There were others from your crew," he added. "They're not dead. But they're not free either." Her chest tightened. "What do you mean?" He leaned back, his eyes unreadable. "They're in the hands of something far worse than war." For a moment, the room felt smaller, the air thicker. She wanted to ask more, but he stood, picking up the device again. The hum returned to the walls. It was almost a relief. Almost before leaving, he turned to her. "I saved you because you might survive what's coming." His voice was low now, almost a whisper. "But if you want to live, you need to remember everything." The door shut behind him. The lock clicked again. She sat in silence, her mind burning with questions. What had attacked her ship? Who had taken her crew? And why did the human look like he was afraid of telling her the truth? The first warning, she did not sleep much that night. The hum in the walls seemed louder, or maybe it was her own heartbeat. She lay still, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the human to return. He never did. Sometime deep in the quiet hours, a faint click came from the door. Not the usual smooth slide. This was slower. Careful, she closed her eyes halfway, pretending to be asleep. The door opened just enough for a shadow to slip inside. It wasn't him. The shape was smaller, moving low to the ground. She caught the glint of metal in its hand or claw. Before she could react, the shadow stopped. It stood there in silence. Then it turned and left without a sound. The door shut. The lock clicked again. She was alone. But now she was sure. She was being watched by more than just the human. Hours later, she heard voices. Not in the room, but close, muffled by the wall. One of them was his. The other, deep, mechanical. She could not understand the second voice's words, but she caught pieces of his deadline. "She's not ready. They'll come early." She held her breath. The voices grew sharper. "No, she doesn't know," he said. "I'll tell her when it's time." The mechanical voice replied with a sound like static, then silence. Footsteps moved away. She heard a distant door slam. She sat up slowly. Her bandages pulled at her skin. Pain shot through her side. But it didn't matter now if there was a deadline. Then time was running out, and if they were coming early, she needed to know who they were. The human returned in the morning. His face looked the same. But now she noticed his shoulders were tense, his movements sharper. He set a tray of food down without a word, then finally met her eyes. "You'll need to be ready to move soon," he said. "Ready for what?" she asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he gave her a long look, the kind you give someone you're not sure will survive. Then he turned and left. The hum in the walls seemed to follow her now, like it was breathing with her. She didn't know if it was the ship or something else entirely, but one thing was certain. Whatever was coming, it was coming fast. The choice the next time the human came. He carried no tray, no food, no water, only a small black case in his hand. He placed it on the table and stood over it. His shadow stretched across the bed. "We're leaving," he said. It wasn't a suggestion. Her heart quickened. "Where?" she asked. "Somewhere safer than here." But his voice told her safe was not the right word. He opened the case. Inside were two things: a small silver device and a folded strip of black fabric. The fabric looked like it could be tied over the eyes, the device. She didn't recognize it. Hummed softly, almost like the walls, but sharper, more focused. "I can get you out," he said. "But if you come with me, there's no going back." She frowned. "Back to what?" "This room?" He didn't smile. "Back to them." She remembered the voice in the night, the word deadline, the shadow with the glint of metal. "Who are they?" she asked. He hesitated. Finally, he said, "They're not my people, and they're not yours. There's something in between, and worse than both." The words were heavy, but his eyes made them heavier. "They took the rest of your crew," he added. Her chest tightened. "They're alive?" He nodded. For now. Her hands curled into fists. She wanted to run, to fight, to find them. But she didn't know if she could trust him. He had lied before, or at least hidden the truth. If she followed him, she might be walking into another trap. But if she stayed, she might never see her people again. You have to decide now, he said. His tone was urgent now. They're moving them tonight. Once they're gone for good. Her mind raced. The hum in the walls seemed louder, faster, almost like it was counting down. She looked at the device in the case. What's that for? She asked. To make sure they can't track you, he said. But it will hurt. His voice was steady, no warning in his tone, just fact. The fabric was for her eyes. He didn't want her to see where they were going, or maybe he didn't want her to see how they were leaving. Her breath came faster. Her body was still healing. Her mind screamed not to trust him, but somewhere deeper, quieter. Something told her to go. He watched her closely, like he could see her thoughts moving. Finally she spoke. I'll come, she said. The human gave a short nod. Then we have no time to waste. As he reached for the device, she realized whatever happened next would change everything, and there was no way back. The choice the next time the human came, he carried no tray, no food, no water, only a small black case in his hand. He placed it on the table and stood over it. His shadow stretched across the bed. We're leaving, he said. It wasn't a suggestion. Her heart quickened. Where? She asked. Somewhere safer than here. But his voice told her safe was not the right word. He opened the case. Inside were two things. A small silver device and a folded strip of black fabric. The fabric looked like it could be tied over the eyes, the device. She didn't recognize it. Hummed softly, almost like the walls, but sharper, more focused. I can get you out, he said. But if you come with me, there's no going back. She frowned. Back to what? This room? He didn't smile. Back to them. She remembered the voice in the night, the word deadline, the shadow with the glint of metal. Who are they? She asked. He hesitated. Finally, he said, they're not my people, and they're not yours. There's something in between, and worse than both. The words were heavy, but his eyes made them heavier. They took the rest of your crew, he added. Her chest tightened. They're alive? He nodded. For now. Her hands curled into fists. She wanted to run, to fight, to find them. But she didn't know if she could trust him. He had lied before, or at least hidden the truth. If she followed him, she might be walking into another trap. But if she stayed, she might never see her people again. You have to decide now, he said. His tone was urgent now. They're moving them tonight. Once they're gone for good. Her mind raced. The hum in the walls seemed louder, faster, almost like it was counting down. She looked at the device in the case. What's that for? She asked. To make sure they can't track you, he said. But it will hurt. His voice was steady, no warning in his tone, just fact. The fabric was for her eyes. He didn't want her to see where they were going, or maybe he didn't want her to see how they were leaving. Her breath came faster. Her body was still healing. Her mind screamed not to trust him, but somewhere deeper, quieter. Something told her to go. He watched her closely, like he could see her thoughts moving. Finally she spoke. I'll come, she said. The human gave a short nod. Then we have no time to waste. As he reached for the device, she realized whatever happened next would change everything, and there was no way back. The final escape. The human pressed the silver device to her neck. A sharp sting made her flinch. The hum in the walls faded instantly. It felt like the whole place had stopped breathing. Move, he said. She followed, her legs unsteady, but her mind focused. He gave her the black fabric. Put it on. She hesitated. Do you want to make it out alive? He asked. She tied it over her eyes. The darkness was complete. His hand gripped her arm. Not rough, but firm. He guided her quickly through turns and narrow halls. She heard doors slide, metal clank, and somewhere far behind voices shouting. They know, he muttered. Run! Her feet pounded against the floor. She felt the air grow colder. The smell of metal and engine oil filled her nose. They stopped suddenly. Stay still, he whispered. A deep, low roar passed close by. Not footsteps, Something larger, heavier. She didn't want to know what it was. He pulled her forward again. She felt a rush of air as a hatch opened. The sound of wind filled her ears. "This is it," he said. "Step exactly where I step." The floor under her feet changed. No longer smooth metal, but rough and uneven. She heard a strange whine. Then a deep thud as the hatch closed behind them. The hum returned. But this one was different. Not the breathing of the wall she had known. This was faster, urgent, alive in a different way. "You can take it off now," he said. She pulled the fabric away and froze. They were no longer in the room, not in the place with the humming walls. They were in a cockpit, but not of any ship she knew. The view ahead was wide and open. Stars raced past like streaks of silver. He was already in the pilot's seat. Hands moving fast. "Strap in," he ordered. She slid into the seat beside him. Her eyes caught a shadow in the distance, a cluster of black shapes following fast. "They're not going to let us go," she said. "Then we'll make them." "Regret chasing," he replied. His hands pushed the controls forward. The ship roared. Gravity pulled at her chest. The stars blurred. The black shapes grew closer. Flashes of light fired from their sides. The cockpit shook. Her hands gripped. "The strap's tight. Hold on." He shouted. The ship twisted sharply. One of the black shapes spun away, vanishing into the dark. She had never seen flying like this. Every move was wild, yet precise. It was like the human's hands knew the ship's thoughts. Another enemy fell away. Only two remained. He flipped the switch. The ship's engines screamed. A burst of light shot from behind them. The last two pursuers vanished in the flare silence. Only the sound of the ship's steady hum remained. She let out the breath she'd been holding. He looked at her. "We're clear, for now." She stared at him. "You didn't have to save me," she said. He gave a small, tired smile. "That's what everyone thinks." She turned back to the stars. Her people were still out there, somewhere, and she knew this. Wasn't over, not for her, not for the human, but for now. She was alive, and sometimes that was enough.